Hello and welcome to today's podcast episode. I am so excited to have our special guest, Dhara Singh, for today's podcast. And today we'll be talking about how to discover your niche. We'll be sharing her top 3 strategies in uncovering your niche. And I'm excited because Dhara is also part of our speaker selection for the Women Thrive Summit 2022. So you get to hear from her incredible story and what motivated her to go into the direction of helping other women discover their niche. So Dhara, hello and welcome to today's podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Raimonda. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so honored to be part of the Women Speaker Showcase coming up this Friday.
Yes, and the Women Thrive Summit this March.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to hear from you a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and just give our audience a little introduction of yourself.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Dhara Singh. I'm a former journalist from Yahoo Finance. I've written for CNET and other outlets, but last year I got this inspired idea where I was like, all right, I'm always interviewing people. Is there a way I could use these skills for the greater good? And then I got this idea of going into coaching. I did some freelancing writing on Upwork, and I was helping someone repurpose her past experiences for her dream career. Then I was like, you know what? I think a lot of people out there are missing the value of their existing life experiences, and I can do something with this. And then I hired a coach myself, and I became a storytelling coach. So that's exactly what I do. I help people. I dig deep into their story, and I unlock the clues to their niche.
Wow. And I know this is a struggle for a lot of people to find their niche and find, I guess, their magic. When we look at ourselves, sometimes we don't recognize the gems within ourselves. So us to finding your own niche to start with, before we get into kind of your top 3 tips for the ladies to uncover their niche, what was your journey in discovering that this is something you're epic at?
It was very accidental. If years ago I would tell you how everything is supposed to play out, that would have been impossible, because it's truly once you take the first leap that things start flowing unexpectedly. I was working in a bank, commuting 4 hours in a given day, and I knew something was off. I didn't know what, but I was like, you know what? I can't be sitting this train for 4 hours. I like connecting deeper with people one-on-one in a non-superficial way. So how can I do that? And immediately journalism came to me, or I'm like, all right, journalism is the field where you see Oprah, you see Lisa Ling, they do their thing. They meet with people one-on-one in like such an unbiased way. They get to know people. And I'm like, I want to be that, but I don't know how. So then I quit my job out of the blue. I spent 8 months putting together a portfolio to become a journalist, eventually got into my dream school, became a journalist, started interviewing people. And, as I was doing that during the pandemic, believe it or not, a part of me got really burnt out. And I was just like, all right, I need to figure things out where, how can I use this passion that I have to get to know people on a deeper level and obviously monetize it, but also make a bigger impact. And so I hired a coach. I got certified as a coach myself. And I launched my first business of interviewing people and helping them discover their story. And in the process, I realized that I was helping them discover their niche. So there you go.
Wow. So you went on your own sort of discovery journey of what makes you tick, because a lot of the times we know what we enjoy, and sometimes we have these skills that we are good at, but underestimate the value it has for somebody else. It's very, very interesting. So if you were to give some tips for our audience today, what would be some of your tips in helping others discover their niche?
Of course. So first of all, I'm going to tell you guys, I have a treasure chest full of tips. So I'm going to give you a sample today, but for the rest, you're going to have to attend our Women Thrive Summit in March. So number 1 is, this is the most overlooked place to find your niche. observing what your family and friends come to you all the time. I know in the world of business, we're like, don't do market research calls on your friends and family. I get that. I kind of agree with that too. But if your friends are always coming to you for relationship advice, and let's say they're recommending their friends to come to you for relationship advice or career advice, they might be like, I think this person is a good, individual for you to talk to get career clarity or to get relationship clarity. It may just point to the fact that that's maybe your calling. Maybe you're just naturally gifted at relationships, career, etc. So start paying attention to what people are coming to you all the time. I think in my personal life, I was always editing everyone's emails. In my family, I'm known as like the writer in a way. So whenever my parents are from India, right? They can speak English and they can write pretty well. But I think especially my dad with the grammar part, he needs my help. So I'm like, wow, I'm helping him a lot writing these emails, So then I pointed to kind of going down that journalism path a bit.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, because people do come to us for certain advice, and that could be just some clues to what you're good at. What do people actually see in you that you may not see yourself? And some things that might be just so easy, because like I said, sometimes we just overlook because it just sounds easy to us. Like, hey, I could do that in my sleep. Well, that might be the gem that you've been looking for your specific niche. And it is this challenge. I've spoken to so many people, especially multi-passionate entrepreneurs, who would say, I just, I don't want to niche myself into one area. What do you think is a benefit of actually finding your niche?
Yeah. So I'm sure like yourself, Raimonda, like, are you multi-passionate? Can I ask that as well?
I have always been multi-passionate, and I never wanted as well to just pigeonhole myself into one thing, because I feel like, oh, I'm always evolving. I'm always, I don't want to just be known for this one thing.
Absolutely. And I'm with your pain 100%, because to a lot of people in my own life, it was like, why don't you just pick one thing and stick with it? When us as humans, like you said, we're supposed to evolve. So one of the things, advice I give for multi-passionate entrepreneurs is, instead of looking at niche as being restricting, think of building a house where you need a strong foundation, right? If you can master a strong foundation and then build on top of it, it'll be much easier. I started with the foundation of storytelling, right? Giving tips, this and that. When I started I got noticed by like this top influencer who I get referrals from, right? And when I was doing that, then I'm like, all right, this is good, but this is starting to get just a little bit monotonous. Then I'm like, let me add niching on top of it. Then I started helping people with niching. Then I'm like, I was still hungry for more. So then suddenly I'm like, let me add an element of business coaching into it. And so even though I'm a storytelling and niche coach, people come to me sometimes to launch their first signature services. So I say build the foundation, and then you can always add and expand to it. You can niche stack.
Wow, niche stack. Interesting concept.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, because that fear of not being able to serve a particular market, let's say, and as you evolve, yeah, it's so important when people actually get to know you for something, because as you say, you mentioned referrals. And what I do find that once you pick a niche, because a lot of people, especially in coaching industry, can be very sometimes vague or not specific enough, and then they never get referrals because they're just not specific enough. And when you do become more specific, I find that you will attract referrals, you'll have more speaking opportunities, you'll be asked for contribution. So there's a lot of benefits into actually just picking one thing that you become more known for and not worrying about it. And so talk to me about a niche stacking a little bit.
Yeah, I literally just made the concept up last year. I'm sure others have talked about it, but basically, I've worked with a lot of multi-passionate people, and sometimes they're the niche themselves. I'm sure, like you are, Raimonda, like now that you've built this huge brand, it's like Raimonda is known for all of these things, like speaking, whatever. But a lot of these early people coming to me, they're just like, I'm an actress, I'm a producer, I'm a writer, I'm a content creator, I'm a social media expert, this and that. I'm like, all right, well, for you, there's two scenarios in terms of niching. One is niche stacking, which I'll talk about. One is also just maybe you yourself are the niche. Maybe your lifestyle is what's going to get people to you. If you look at Amanda Francis, which you know, I'm sure, her thing is she's just like, I'm going to put whatever I want that represents, and I want to show people what they could achieve, the lifestyle, and they'll gravitate towards me. But niche stacking is more so, I think it's very helpful for beginners where you choose one thing, like storytelling. You do many iterations of that thing. As you interview people one-on-one, you look at what other things you're accomplishing in those one-on-one sessions. When I was interviewing people to help them discover their story, I was like, wow, I can literally see you also helping this market. I can see you labeling yourself as expert, And so it became a scenario where they started off with the foundation, but then later on, as they were expanding, they just added something else to their name, like trauma and healing, storytelling and niche, life and business coach.
Yeah, so just evolving that and adding another bow to your
Yeah.
time, like.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that. What other tips would you have to share with our audience today?
Sure. The second is market research, right? Like one of the reasons your content can be noticed earlier on, even with just a fewer posts, if you just hit the nail on the head, in terms of solving your clients' pain points. So I would go into these Facebook groups, like coaching Facebook groups, and I would just hang around because I was certified as a life coach. So I was just hanging around that group. And I noticed so many people going there asking, like, hey, does anyone here in this group help you with your story? Is there anyone here who helps people with their niche? And I was like, that's me. And so because I saw that need in Facebook groups, I did market research calls in that Facebook group. I was like, all right, guys, I'm giving X free coaching sessions to help you discover your story and your niche. And I really got to know what their pain points are. And then I solve those in content.
That's really good because that's how you actually position yourself as an expert. If you don't know your niche, but there are some problems that you constantly see within your clients or things that they are challenged with, like their pain points, and then you go over and you solve them. So you kind of start to figure out what are the key patterns in that. Very interesting. Any other tips that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So, and obviously everything we've said till date is free. You don't have to, there's nothing extra that you have to pay besides, looking at what you already have. What are people coming to you in regards to advice? Do market research in these Facebook groups. A lot of them are free. As long as you don't sell, but give value, of course. And then 3, I'm not going to give all my secrets away today, but number 3 is review all your past client feedback. Mm-hmm. What I did was I asked clients, I don't pressure, but I'm like, if you'd want, I'd appreciate, a small video testimonial to get to really learn your experience, hear it from your words. When I listen to those client testimonials, I look for patterns too in their words. One of the things that kept on coming up for me was like, she went through my story and figured out how I can help other people. And the help other people part kept on coming up again. So then I'm like, it's kind of like niching, like niching is a specialty. How are you going to help other people? So when I kept on hearing that in these testimonials, I was like, all right, this just reconfirms my idea. So I was just going to say that, like, in this chase to get more clients, in this chase to sign clients, look at the people you already have. They have so much value.
Yeah, and they already have that know, like, and trust factor with you. And if they have had good experience with you, they will be much more inclined to refer you to other people. And we're so often overlooked testimonials. Testimonials is it's like another part of your market research, really, to see, okay, now we've done the work. Next part is finding out where was the transformation. So again, you can keep evolving and finding your true gems in the things that has, helped your clients, really.
Absolutely. And online, I have to say, it's easy to compare yourself to, right? On the day's business, every business has ups and downs, but let's say you have a slow week, you kind of look at those testimonials and you just feel this big feeling of gratitude too. You're like, sometimes it's not, if you were to get 50 people in one mini course versus you were to get 4 really high impact clients and hearing about their experiences on a deeper, more profound transformation, that's just so amazing. And they're honestly your biggest marketers too. Like, they're ambassadors for your brand.
Yeah. What do you see has been the biggest transformations for women who have been able to find their niche and their industry where they feel really aligned to? So after they have worked with you, what do you see has been the biggest transformation for them?
Confidence in identity and voice. I had a woman who was on a different side of the political aisle compared to other people. And me as a journalist, with that journalism background, I hold space for everyone. I truly believe in holding space for all thoughts. And what I want to do is, even if I don't share the same opinion as you, like, let's say something simple as posting content every day or whatever, right? I still encourage you to own your thought leadership. So with this woman who's a social seller, right, like a network marketer, she was just like, oh my God, my family doesn't like me because I hold this opinion about, something health related that's happening in our time. And then when you learn her story, you realize her daughter has this condition. So of course she's had weird experiences with some health tools out there. And so the reason why she didn't do what everyone's doing during this pandemic time period is largely because of her own daughter's health condition. And so I encouraged her. I was like, you know what? I see your perspective. And I think a lot of people don't understand why you're doing the things you're doing. So please use your voice. And since then, I've seen her confidence skyrocket. She shows fun stories unapologetically saying that, I have to stand by what I believe in because this is my daughter and whatever. And the funny thing is, on a personal note, I may or may not believe what she's believing, but as a coach, I have to encourage her to own her own thought leadership.
Yeah.
So that was very profound. And just every single day, like whenever I post something, she's my biggest ambassador, where she's just like, you really allowed me to own my own business dreams and to share my voice. That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God. This connects so deeply because we are afraid, again, it's that judgment of other people, being afraid to stand in our truth because of our past experiences. Maybe people didn't relate to you, or you're having to stand by for what you believe. And it can be a scary place. So it's really interesting that, through encouraging someone to own their voice and own their niche and own their opinions, you actually just elevated and given someone permission, although we don't ever need to have permission to do what we want to do. But sometimes that concept of giving our clients the permission to go and do something empowers them and releases them from that fear of, okay, well, what's going to happen? So it's really, really interesting that you said that, because I truly believe that if we stand in our authentic truth and we share our own perspective from our own experience, we're able to shift perspective in somebody else. And this is the power of storytelling and going deep within ourselves and saying, I'm not actually going to follow the herd. I'm standing in my truth.
Yes, 100%. And me seeing even other people, I've been able to stand in my truth by seeing other people own who they are. Before I was trying to do life coaching like everyone else, but my authentic truth was, more of a writer's perspective, like a storyteller, and then now niching. And I think I was following the herd mentality, but when I just really started owning who I was like, all right, this is my thoughts about storytelling, about niching. Then when I only had like 20 posts, someone really big just noticed me. And now she's a big ambassador for me. That wouldn't have happened if I was just regurgitating life coaching content from a manual.
Yeah, that's being unique and being not afraid to be unique. Because ultimately, with storytelling, I'm sure the one common thing you realize that everybody has a different story.
Yeah. Yep.
And just being able to embrace it, and just say, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, because so many people are afraid to own their voice, and that's why they go and perhaps copy other people.
That never ends well, because you just if you always try to copy someone, you're going to hit a block, you're going to hit a block. And it's just, I've been on both sides of the aisle. I was taking a lot of NLP content from manuals, and I thought I was just doing the right thing by educating people, giving proper credit. But in the beginning, when I started, there was no originality there. And then I hit a wall with my creativity. And when I was at dinner, a friend was like, "Oh, I thought you were doing this type of coaching, but now it seems you're doing that type of coaching." I was like, this is so embarrassing. No one even knows what I do either. So then I started over as storytelling. But totally agree with your point.
So it can be quite frustrating, isn't it, to try and find content. And I guess it's when we're too afraid to own our voice, that frustration sets in, because we think that somebody else is better than us and we're not really standing in our power. But when we do, we're able to then actually just really speak for what we and stand for what we believe in. And that is the way to become a thought leader. To, as you say, you have had the same experience of being recognized very early in the process, because you just decided to own your voice and stand by what you believe and who you are.
Definitely. And it's not a picture perfect journey either, but at least now that I have a strong understanding of my niche, I just feel more grounded, I just feel a little organized, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I know our audience are going to hear much more from you at the upcoming Women Thrive Summit coming up this March. So if you feel inspired by Dhara's story and her tips today, and maybe you're still looking to find your own gem and be standing in your truth of your story and who you are, and really step into the power of your particular niche, then go over to womenthrivesummit.com and register for the upcoming summit. Book your ticket. Be there, because we have more than 30 amazing speakers who are going to be sharing their strategies, their stories, inspiring you, motivating you, and empowering you to be really more empowered leader, entrepreneur, speaker, author, and achieve your goals. I think 2022 is really about rising together and thriving in life and business. And I'm so honored to have you part of this journey, Dhara.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a rewarding experience too, and to meet the other ladies.
Yeah, I have so enjoyed, and I look forward to having panel discussions on the summit. There's so much we as women can relate on through our experiences, and some of the issues that you highlighted today, or some of the things we talked about, I see over and over again. And it's quite interesting to hear the testimonial of your clients who, even if it is controversial, even if it is different, just to stand in our truth and stand for what we believe in. That is true empowerment.
100%. And I hope that if there's one thing, at least with our discussion today, that I can leave behind, it's just that everyone has an interesting story and everyone has a gift to offer this world. And sometimes you just need to dig a little deep and figure out what that is.
Yeah, and we're all unique. And that's what I love about summits like this, because we invite global speakers with different perspectives. And it doesn't mean we have to agree on the subjects. It doesn't mean that we have the same perspective, because you're different. And by conversation, hearing your perspective, where you coming from, we better able to understand the world around us, people around us, connect and have compassion for everyone. Compassion doesn't matter what your background, your story, the things that you have had to overcome, because some of the ladies have overcome some really tragic things, but now they're able to speak from a place of empowerment as opposed to shame or fear. And that's what I truly desire for every listener on this episode right now, to know that the things that you have gone through, the stories that you may feel ashamed of, or the things that you think that you're not able to share, attend our summit and look at the stories that women are sharing on there and the experiences that they have had. And just know that whatever you have gone through, there is so much power in you standing in your truth and sharing that story and identifying how you can impact this world with your magical gifts. So, Dhara, I think your session will be really, really valuable for our audience on the summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raimonda. It'll definitely be a practical, and I'll give you that.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this podcast episode. Make sure you go over to womenthrivesummit.com to save your spot. Share this, subscribe to our future episodes, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Take care for now.